Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another Java tutorial in our Java tutorial series. And in this tutorial, we are going to be covering how to copy files using the Java File System API. Now, one thing to note is that there are multiple different copy methods that you're going to see when we start actually doing what we want to do here. However, there's only one that we're going to pay attention to, but I'll kind of explain what the other ones do, so you have a better idea of why they're there. So, now, to get started, we need to have some context here for like how you would go about copying a file. There are instances where you're just going to want to copy files to and from directories without the user's input. However, if the user goes and tries to manually copy a file themselves, in most cases, you're going to want to prompt the user to say, hey, do you actually want to move this file here, or do you not want to move the file here? Kind of similar to what we did when we deleted files and stuff. So that's kind of what we're going to do. Without further ado, let's get into the actual code. So, again, we have our try-catch block like we usually do, because I/O exceptions are common when you're dealing with this sort of stuff if you don't do it right. So, first things first is we need the path of the file that we want to copy. And then we're going to also need the path for our destination. All right, so let's go ahead and go in between our try-catch here. And we will say path file to copy is equal to paths dot get, and then here we need to decide which file we want to copy. You can see over here in our little project, in our project explorer, I have a temp folder with test-1.txt inside of it, and then we have test-2.txt outside of it. So we're going to be copying test-2.txt into the temp folder. We're going to copy it and put it in that temp folder. So the file we want to copy is test-2.txt, and then we want the destination. So path destination, we're going to set that equal to paths.get, and then in here we give the path that we want to copy to. So we want this path to be temp/test-2.txt. Just like that. All right. So we have our two paths ready to go. However, well, I guess we should probably, instead of file to copy, we can call this original to be more specific, because this first path is going to be the original path of the file where it came from. So, anyway, right? So now we can go ahead and say scanner is equal to a new scanner. You've done this before. And then we will also have a string called choice. set that equal to an empty string for now. Then we'll say if choice dot equals ignore case, yes. We want it to do something. Otherwise, we'll test if choice dot equals ignore case is equal to no. We'll then do something. And then if it's anything other than no, we want to do a different thing. So if it's anything other than no, we want a system out print line. Sorry, we didn't recognize your choice. As a result, the file was not copied. Typically when you're doing these kinds of messages, I didn't explain this in the previous tutorial, but usually when you're doing these kinds of messages, you want to make sure that they are specific so the user knows what exactly happened, but you don't want them to be too specific to where they're overly verbose. So something like this, saying, hey, we didn't recognize your command, so therefore this specific operation wasn't done. That is specific enough to tell the user, oh, okay, my response wasn't a valid response, so they didn't execute what they were prompting me to do. You know, you don't want it to be too verbose, you don't want it to be too non-specific. So it's just a matter of finding that balance. So now we'll say, what do we want to do if the response is no? And I didn't put the O in no. I should have done that. There we go. If it's no, we want a system out print line. Okay. The file was not copied. All right. And then if the answer is yes, if we do want to copy the file, this is where we go and copy the file. So files dot copy. Now, like I said, there's 3 different copy functions, or rather methods, available to us. We have a copy function with a path for the source, an output stream, and it returns a long. Now, if we look at the documentation for this particular method call, as I said, it returns a long, has a source, an output stream, as a source and an output stream as its parameters. It can throw an IO exception, and what this will do is it copies all the bytes from a file to an output stream. So, for example, you could say, you could provide a text file with a bunch of text in it, and then you could say system.out, because that out property of the system class is an output stream, and it would output the contents of that file to the console. I'll demonstrate how to do that in this video as well, so we can kind of get that idea down. The next one, which has an input stream and a path for the target file. What this will do, well, and it also has a copy options array. This also returns a long, and it also throws an IO exception. What this does is it basically copies all the bytes from an input stream. So, for example, system.in is an input stream. And it copies all those bytes to a file. And what it will return is it basically it basically returns the input stream. Well, on the return, the input stream will be at the end of the stream. You know, that kind of stuff. If you don't quite understand it, that's fine. All you need to know is that anything that comes through from the input stream gets copied to the target file that you passed in. And then the third one, which is the option we're going to be using first, contains a path for the source file, a path for the target file, and then an optional copy options array, which you don't have to do. I never do, for the simple fact of for the simple tasks, if I get English, that I typically do, don't require specific options. But that's fine. So let's go ahead and choose this third option, where we have our source, which is our original path. Our target is going to be the destination. And then options we don't need, right? So we have that. Pretty simple. So let's go ahead then, save it, and run. Once we do that, and we select our temp folder, hit F5 to refresh. Nothing appeared to have happened, and that's because we have a prompt. Let's say yes, we want a copy. Sorry, we didn't recognize your choice. Ah, I see. I didn't put in the input. I feel dumb. This is one of those this is one of those things where if you forget, it's not gonna do anything. All right, so let's fix that. Choice is equal to scanner dot next line. Boom, just like that. Now let's save it and run it. All right. Now we didn't output a specific prompt, and that's fine. We'll just say yes. We don't get a response, but it did copy. So if we then refresh, you can see test-2.txt is now there, just like it should be. So with that then, let's go ahead and delete this code that we no longer need anymore, and let's kind of show what the other copy methods do. So if we go into test_2.txt, right? And let's say we have just a bunch of random characters. So like A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, semicolon, right? All the home row keys. And we save it, right? Cool. Let's go ahead now, go here into our main file, and we'll say files.copy, and we want the option for our source file and then our output stream. So the source file is going to be our original file, and then we're going to say system.out as our output stream. once we do that, we can again save it and run it. And then as you can see, it outputs to the console the contents of the file. But that's just one line. What happens if we have multiple lines where we have, say, all those keys from the row below. And then we have everything from the row above. So we have 3 lines, each with a bunch of seemingly random characters. We can save it. We go back to our file here, our main file. We go ahead and run the stuff, and you can see it outputs everything exactly how it's shown in the file. So that's pretty neat if you want something to be copied from a file to a console, like everything from a file to the console, without having to use a buffered reader or something like that to read the file, to debug the contents of a file or something. So with that, then, what about the second option for the copy method that we didn't use? So copy, we use the first one here, and then we have the option for an input stream and then the target file. Right? So let's say system.in will be our input stream. So we can input stuff into the console, and it will go to whatever our target file will be. In this case, it'll be destination. And these options we don't need. Just like that. And so let's go ahead, save it, run it. Now you can see we don't get any prompt in the console. No prompt in the console whatsoever. However, we go into the console, we can see that we can edit it. And we'll say, I am the best programmer ever. Even though I know I'm not, but hey, no one's stopping me from saying it. And then we enter. And I can keep saying it. And it'll just keep doing that until you close out of the application, until it stops. Which we should probably do. So what you have to do is just hit this red square stop button, and then it'll stop. Now, what effect did that have? We'll go to test-1.txt. You can see nothing appeared to have happened. So let's try. And we'll try to refresh it just so we cover our bases. Okay. And so this is what it did. It basically went and said, oh, okay, we're going to copy our text to a new file, which it did. We gave it a destination path, created that file, added the text to that file. Pretty neat. So that is basically what that does. That's basically how you copy text from the console to a file, how you copy text from a file and output it somewhere, and how you copy a file directly. So that basically does it for this video, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. See ya.